You could have been having pain for the last 6 months and you're starting to wonder if it's ever going to go. Maybe you're at the point where you're counting your experience with pain in years, and you could be like me and those years are starting to get into double digits. Wherever you are, I hope that by sharing some of my experiences that they may be of some help to you guys. There will also be timestamps because your time is valuable. Many of us, myself in particular, we're limited in our mobility and we move a little bit more slowly maybe than other people can. So we need all the time we can get just to get basic stuff done. I mean, it takes me like an hour just to get a snack. So, you know, we can't afford for this video to take too long is what I'm saying. So what I found really seemed to change things, change the quality of the communication for me with medical professionals is when I started describing more specific features of the pain. And what I mean by that is colorful sorts of words. So let me give you some examples. Aching, shooting, sharp pain, throbbing or burning, or on fire. A really excellent description that I heard once, I think, was that somebody said they felt like they had a hot coal on their skin, you know? That there was almost like a sensation that there was a hot cinder on the skin, or even you could say down, you know, in your muscles. Another good descriptive word, I think, is sometimes you can say that, you know, sometimes your muscles actually feel so tight and so angry that they're sort of, your skin is actually just painful to the touch, that it's painful to even, you know, barely touch your skin. Now you might wonder, well, why should this help? I don't have an answer for that. All I can say is that it seemed to make communication slightly clearer. It seemed to sort of get through to the doctor more. You may think that by saying, you know, I have a pain in my lower back, for example, you might think that that's sort of enough, that it's obvious what you mean. But for some reason, it doesn't seem to be quite enough. And I think that when you add in more specifics like this, I suppose the tricky thing about pain, isn't it, is that it's terribly subjective. It's one of the trickiest things about it, maybe in terms of the treatment, but also for us when we're trying to cope with it on a day-to-day and trying to explain to people about it. So, you know, I invite you to give it a go. I invite you to give it a try. These are all helpful words. Oh, I've got another one there. Oh, shooting and stabbing. Oh, sorry, shooting and sharp pain. I also had stabbing. Yeah, stabbing's a good one. Give it a go. You may also want to, you know, try it with friends or family. It might help them to understand. I suppose, like, there's a difference between saying to someone, you know, I have pain on this side of my head, and saying, well, you know, the skin on this side of my face and head feels like it's on fire, and it's doing that for about 6 to 7 hours a day. So I feel like I'm really struggling to cope with that. You might ask, what do you mean pain is subjective? Well, say for example, with a situation where someone's suffered from shingles and they've then recovered from shingles, they can still have nerve pain on the skin, and that can present as all sorts of different types of sensations. So those people can have burning pain in that area, they can have stabbing or shooting pains, and based on NHS information available here in the UK, some people have like uncontrollable itching still on the skin, and that's even after they've recovered from the shingles. So we can see that pain is an unpredictable and, once again, subjective thing. If you're watching this and you haven't heard of phantom limb syndrome, give it a Google. That one is also a doozy, and yeah, that one will blow your mind. Another little tip, little suggestion that I have for you to try is when you physically are going to visit your doctor. So when you have to physically go to the clinic or your consultant specialist office, whatever it may be. Well, what can we say about this? Well, it's immensely painful, generally drives your pain levels up because there's additional exertion, there's travel involved. You know, you may be in the situation where you're having to drive yourself, and if you have any kind of lower back pain or knee or hip issues, driving can be really, you know, one of those things that ratchets your pain levels upwards. I find changing gear, driving stick, very difficult because of the pain down my left arm. You might be in a situation where you're getting public transport to the appointment, so like what are your chances of getting a seat? Maybe you're trying to get on a bus that's so crowded that you have to stand. So then the motion of the bus is just driving your pain levels up because, you know, say you've got a painful joint again, you know, in your knee or something, and every time the bus jerks, you got pain shooting through your joints. Like, let's face it, the sad reality is that you're probably going to be in a lot of pain by the time you get there, and then you've got to make it through the appointment. And there's a lot of talking because the doctor will say, so tell me, you know, tell me how you are, or tell me when did this start. My little suggestion is bullet points. You can divide them by time. For example, more than 5 years ago, 5 years ago to a year ago, last year. And really all you need is about 6 or 7 bullet points. Because that's all they're going to be able to take in anyway. You know, you could be the 10th person that they've seen that day. Or if it's an evening clinic and it's 6:30 in the evening, forget it. You know, they've been doing one job all day and now they're doing clinic from 5 p.m. to 7. Forget it. They're not going to remember the detail. So I invite you again to give this a try. Maybe you'd rather talk to them, and that's, you know, that's entirely fair enough. It's your prerogative. But the great thing about the bullet points is that it saves energy. They can, when they have the big picture, they can zone in on the big picture, hopefully. And then they can ask you the details that they think, you know, are important. Hopefully it just saves you energy and it saves you a little bit of pain. And it's all about pain management and fatigue management. The other thing you can do is ask, you know, to stand up, because the chair that they have in their office could be really uncomfortable. And, you know, the appointment could take 15 minutes, it could take 20 minutes. I've asked some medical professionals if I can just walk gently up and down. So I stand and I just walk gently, you know, I keep moving. And yes, I guess it may be a little bit awkward to do that in someone's office. But, you know, at this point, we've got to prioritize pain management and fatigue management over any potential, you know, awkward social situations. We just got to, because don't forget, the tricky thing about medical appointments is the getting there. It is the process of sitting in the office and talking, but it's also getting home, because you may have to drive yourself home, or you may have to get home on public transport. And that is a whole other level of hellscape. You know, you may be watching this thinking, yeah, there are times when I found myself on a train platform and I thought, I don't know how I can make it home from here. I don't know if I'm going to physically be able to manage. And you feel trapped. I should say as well that my experience of trying this is that it went down very well indeed. The consultant seemed dead chuffed when I handed him the pieces of paper. So my suspicion is that they actually quite like it. It's a bit of a relief. Because they don't have to write as much. So, you know, it saves a bit of this business. And also when I've asked to stand and kept moving during the appointment, because that particular appointment was very long, like it was longer than your average sort of specialist consultant appointment. That also, you know, that medical professional was perfectly fine with it. And you may think, in fact, that if, you know, a request, like if you try these things and they don't go down very well, you may think that that might be a sign. I sincerely hope that this could be helpful for you. It's just some tips. Fingers crossed we'll all be as relatively okay as we can be, so that we can come back together again. I can make another one of these videos and you can be back here again to watch.